All right, so today I'm going to talk about how to take your existing content. So who in here is creating some form of content in any way? Podcast, YouTube, video, whatever. So most everybody in the room is doing that, right? And so I'm going to show you how you can take your existing content and then create other marketing assets with that. Now, obviously, Rob Swanson just talked about how to, build out newsletters and stuff like that. And the same principle works here. So you can take existing content, plug that into a newsletter, and create offers out of that, like what he was showing. And we work with Rob on his personal brand side and plug that stuff in for him as well. So specifically, I'm going to show you from a marketing asset perspective is a book. Who in here has a book that you've written recently, like it's been out there for a while, whatever. So a good number of you guys have. And so obviously this book, the primary purpose for this is not to be an Amazon bestseller, New York Times bestseller. It's a marketing asset, right? It's perfect for a book funnel, putting that in the front of a book funnel, like what Jay's talked about, what Francis talked about. And then obviously I'm going to show you later on that you can do this with so many other things. So again, I'm going to show you how you can take a podcast and turn it into a book. And Cheesehead, if you could reach off to the side here and grab me that book, that'd be awesome. Thank you, sir. No, you gotta let it go. You gotta let it go. Okay. So I have this book here, the REI Marketing book. Last time I was here, I actually was talking about this a little bit. I did not have a physical form of this. And I actually, told you guys you could pre-order it, and right now it is technically still in pre-order stage, but we did finally get the author copies ordered, and these will start shipping out in about 2 weeks. And so this is about a 210-page book. If you guys, this is the only copy I brought today, but if you guys want to come take a look at it, let me know, and then I'll show it to you. But I wanted to show you the physical book, and it's turned out fantastically. And there's several people that are in this group that are in it, and Mr. Mike Hambright forwarded it for me, so that was awesome. And then, Jerry's in it. Who else is in it? I know Tag was in here. Tag Thompson was in it as well. And then several other people will be. And the awesome thing about this is this is going to be a reoccurring annual book. So later on, then, I think, Tim stepped out. He was on the podcast. Jason Hartman, you got scheduled to be on the show, so you'll be in the next one. Chris, you'll be in the next one. And several other people, right? So it's going to be a reoccurring thing. So here's the process. Now, I don't expect you to read every single one of these. Again, the slides will be available, so or you can email me. I'll leave my email at the end, and I'll give you these steps specifically. But I'm going to walk through very, very briefly. I don't want to go too deep into this. I'm going to walk through very briefly on what this looks like. So the first thing is that you select the content to transcribe, right? So the basic principle is you're taking a transcription, cleaning it up, putting it into a book format, and then that's what you're going to get. So the first step is, you got to select what you want to transcribe. So we're doing this for Jerry right now, where he's going hard at, building your actual real estate business, not just focused on acquisitions, not just focused on wholesaling, but building the business. Got an event coming up, the Systems and Operations event, and so we took a bunch of videos that we had done with Jerry talking about systems and operations, and that's the content we're going to turn into a book and create that out of it. Second thing is send the audio video files to transcription service. I love Temi, Temi.com. Many of you are using Rev.com. Rev actually owns Temi, but Temi is 25 cents a minute and a 4-minute turnaround time. So a little bit of a plug there. Go use Temi.com because it's so much better and the UI is incredible. So that's what we use. And then writer number 1 will clean up the transcription. So this is where most of the work is done. And the point of this entire thing, by the way, and I'm going to show you the breakdown of what it took out of me to do this, is that this doesn't take a lot of your time, and it's not super expensive. Okay, so you can get a full book and spend, and I think I put it in the slides here. I spent somewhere in the neighborhood of 70 minutes on creating this entire 210-page book. And this is where, last time I was here, what's his name? Tucker Max was up here. It's Tucker Max, and he called me out in the room because I said, I think Ricardo Rosales was sitting up here, and he asked, can you take a podcast and turn it into a book? And I raised my hand. I'm like, yeah, I'm actually going to talk about that later. And then Tucker Max said, he's full of shit. So he's like, if he tells you it takes 30 minutes to do this, he's full of shit. And then so this is for Tucker, so we got to send this to him. I'm cool with that, right? Is that right? Yeah. I'll have him forward it too. So anyway, that's the whole point of this, right? Is that most of you that have written books, you took an insane amount of time to write the book. I'm doing this to write the book. And so this is kind of pulling that out of there for you to be able to get a physical book onto somebody's bookshelf without having to take a lot of your time. Writer number 2 will go in and organize the content. So most of you are familiar with like Tim Ferriss's books, The Tribe of Mentors, and Tools of Titans, and this is literally what this is. It's just mirroring that. And so you're going to take the content, get the transcriptions cleaned up into a readable format, because you're never going to be able to take a transcription directly and get that into a readable format. So that's the purpose of writer number 1. Writer number 2 will now organize that into topics. So very specific topics. So for instance, I believe there's 8 chapters in this book, and one chapter is going to be sales and marketing relationships. The other one's going to be foundations and marketing. And so you're just going to organize those topics in that way. And then number 5 is the author makes their edits. And so this is where this is where a little bit of the hang up was with what our process was, because we had to, I've got 37 people in this book, and I had to send their part to them and have them clean it up for themselves. And again, that doesn't take a lot of effort on my part. It's just getting it back. And we actually had pretty good luck with getting most of the content back from the writers and allowing them to make their own edits. But for instance, when we're doing his book, we're going to send him the cleaned up transcripts, the cleaned up categories, and then he's going to make his own edits in that book. Because there may be things that change and whatnot from what he says or whatever. So then step number 6 is the dedication, table of contents are created. You're just going to build all that out. Number 7, the book design is completed, which basically means the covers and stuff like that. And then writer number 3 will complete the final edits. And so that's where like everything is now put together. We have an author copy that we can hand to an editor and say, go through and knock out the rest of the edits that have to be done. Number 9 is the final manuscript is created. Book metadata is loaded into KDP, and I'll talk about why I'm doing KDP and not an actual publisher here in a second. And then the book funnel site is created. That's an important one. And then pre-orders typically, so we've been doing pre-orders for about 3 months because, and I'll tell you why again later on, but it's the first round of doing this, and it's going to be totally smoothed out in the next round. But I wanted to test. I wanted to see if people were actually going to buy this thing. And they did. And so we marketed it. Typically, I would say pre-orders, market that for about 30 days and get it out there in front of people and see if it's actually something that they're going to buy. And then number 13 is proofs are ordered, adjustments are made, and then the book is launched. So that's what that process looks like. So the time frame for a 210-page book, I condensed it down. Now this project lasted about a full year, but that's because I was kicking stuff around and I was taking my time on it and stuff like that. But fully condensed down, it actually took about 3 months to complete a 210-page book. Probably now that I've been through this, I can get that down to even shorter amount of time if we push it. But that's about what it looks like, and that's not 3 months of your time, that's just 3 months altogether putting the book together. So these are the benefits. 600 plus pre-orders. So as of this morning, I checked, we're at about 675 now, and that's just pre-orders. We haven't even launched the book yet, right? And so that's 600 plus new emails on my list. That's branding. So if you didn't notice, I've got branding all over this book, all over the book, throughout the book. Well, but that's not the point, right? And so, and my face is in the back of the book as the author, technically, but I want their branding all over their bookshelf. Nobody's going to throw away a book, right? And if they do, then it's because maybe they're cleaning their shelves out 5, 6, 7 years later, and so that's what they're going to go through, right? Total of my time was about 74 minutes is what it took, and that was from me kind of going through and skimming through all the topics, and then also I wrote the dedication, and I wrote the introduction, and that was all I wrote the entire time. So that was great. So the 74 minutes included that stuff. And then this is definitely cheaper than a traditional book. Now here's the thing, I might have somebody ask a question, how much would it take to create a book like this? I know what it took to have my book created, and if it was going to be a service, that's something I'm still building out, but I'm willing to have those kind of conversations, around that. And then the cool thing about this is that I actually made about and depending on the size of your audience, you can definitely make a hell of a lot more than this. But I made about $8,000 just on ads in the book. So think of it as a magazine where you're going to place ads inside of a magazine, except for people will actually read a book. And so it's a little bit more valuable. And so you look at it, and I've got ads throughout the book after every chapter, and I was charging about $1,000 per ad for that. And again, depending on the size of your audience, you could probably get a lot more for that. So actually made quite a bit back on the book, and that alone covered the entire cost of the production of this thing. There's affiliate links throughout the entire thing. This is literally, this is the thing, is like you gotta look at this as a marketing piece. It's not meant to be a New York Times bestseller, not meant to be an Amazon bestseller. It's meant to be a marketing piece. Now, you can do those things. I absolutely recommend those, right? So like Jay has his book sitting here. That is a tremendous book. Trey Taylor, wherever he went, he's got his book. And those are going to be a lot more credibility type pieces in establishing your authority. This, I'm just using it strictly to build a list so I can remarket to them with my products later. And so affiliates throughout, I can make money throughout the affiliates that I have linked in here. I believe I have about 30 affiliates that are throughout the book on my affiliates. And then my services are pitched throughout. Obviously, I'm talking about my services all the way through the entire book. And it's not like the pitch fest in here. I mean, this is like the quality book. There's valuable information inside this book. And then where am I at? Shipping. The shipping offer. So obviously, you know, if you're gonna ship physical books, which I highly recommend, again, because it's a physical copy of a book. The cost of the printing and then the shipping when I'm doing the free. This is a free plus shipping offer, and you can phrase it however you want. That shipping that they pay for covers the entire cost of this book. So essentially, I'm getting free leads is literally what it boils down to. And then obviously all the book orders are in my target demographic with my other services, right? So somebody that has this book on their shelf, they're more likely going to place an order on rei.video or use my services as a content provider. So these are some of the benefits of that stuff. And then obviously, depending on what type of content you choose to use, again, for Jerry, it's only Jerry. So we're gonna have to market a little bit harder. But when it comes down to, if you're gonna do a podcast where you have guests on the shows, then this is where collaboration comes in very heavily. So I have no doubt that a very, very large chunk, and probably 80 to 90% of the orders that we've had so far are from collaborators that are inside the book. So these are just several pictures of some of the collaborators in the book that are in there. You got Gary Harper. Gary was actually the one that I dedicated the book to. He and I go way back. So if you know Gary, you got to give him some shit about being old, because he was my 4th grade Sunday school teacher growing up. So then I got Josh Hines, Don Costa. You guys know him. Greg Hellbeck, Michael Zuber, Don Ross, Mike Singletary, Jimmy Ogle, and Christian Marin. And then there's 37 other people in here. And then obviously the next book that I have, there's going to be 50 in there. And then the next one, maybe I'll do like a full edition where there'll be like 100 or whatever. So here's some keys to the project. You gotta keep these in mind, and some of the marketers in the room might have different opinions about this, or things to chime in on, or even add, or whatever. But these are just from my observation of seeing the monsters do it, like Tim Ferriss or Gary Vee did it with one of his books too. And so the key here, again, I've said this several times, this is not meant to be an Amazon bestseller. Do not promote this to Amazon. You're not going to get those leads. They're going to have the book on their table, but you're not going to be able to gather that data from Amazon in order to be able to remarket to them. The whole point is that I get their email list, I'm building my email list, so I'm getting their contact and their data, and now I can remarket to them on retargeting ads and all that good stuff. So the important thing is, do not promote this to Amazon. I've had several people say, can I just buy it on Amazon? I'm like, no, go to reimarketingbook.com. That's where you're going to get it. So don't send them to Amazon. Send them to the book website. So I had a book funnel website. If you want to check it out, it's reimarketingbook.com. Right now it's just in the pre-order stage, so we're going to build it out even more when it's in the full order stage. But right now it's simple. It's a very simple book funnel. It just goes back into our CRM when they sign up for it. Pay through Stripe or whatever, and maybe Jed can have a different opinion on that, but that's what we use right now, right? And so send them to the book website. If you're going to do a collaboration book, order the author copies, send that to the collaborators, and allow them about 30 to 60 days to post on social media, to push that out to their list, send that to their email list, and allow them to promote the book, saying, I am a co-author in this book, go get it now. Okay, so that's an important piece of it. And then we actually, in order to ship these books out to people, and I'm actually having conversations with Todd Swaggerty. He says that he can print the books for even a fraction of what I'm paying for. But currently, right now, we're just, this is uploaded to KDP, which is Amazon's printing, their publishing service, and the author copies, like for me to buy it by myself, they're about $2.10 or something like that. And so I'll buy those copies, and that's what I'm going to ship out. Now, That's where the distribution comes in, right? You got to have somebody that's actually going to pack the books, and inside the packages, there's going to be some marketing materials. There's going to be like postcards with some services and stuff like that on there, because I want to send them some extra gifts inside that package, so it's a little bit more love inside of it, and that's basically what we're doing. And so I've got somebody that's going to be packing those books for me and then shipping them out as they come in, right? So, because I'm not going to pack 675 books myself. All right, important thing, delegate, delegate, delegate. If you own your own business, which all of you do, you know delegation is how you've gotten to where you're at, right? That delegation is a huge part of that. And what I've seen in some people is when they're writing a book, they want their hands in just about everything, and I understand, like, you're part of the book, this is your book, but if this is going to work the way it needs to, you have to delegate as much as you can, and that's where I walk through all those steps. And if you notice, I think there was 16, 17 steps inside of that, there was only one point that said anything about me being in the process, which was me making my own edits, and that's it. So delegate is the important thing when it comes to this. And then pre-orders are really big. You want to see what the demand looks like, and if the demand's high, keep pushing it, pour more fuel on that fire. Obviously, monetizing is a big key to this. It's marketing, so use it as such. Every package is going to get marketing materials in that, and then like I mentioned, I did sell relevant one-page ads inside of the book after every single chapter, so made about $1,000 a pop on each one of those, and you could probably charge even more than that. I just wanted to test to see if anybody would hook, and a lot of people did. There was interest, right? Because this is going to get into the hands of a lot of people that are relevant to whatever the ads are placed in here. Literally my affiliates throughout the book, it's the same type of monetizing you're going to do with your own content anyway, like your podcast or YouTube channel. And then my services are mentioned throughout, and then obviously I'm going to ask people to promote, which literally if you just take an arrow and draw from the bottom of that point all the way to the back at the top, you're going to tap into other people's audiences, and that's collaboration. That's the key there, right? So you can't, it's not just with this, right? It's not just with a book. You can do a podcast into a book. You can do podcasts into articles, podcasts into videos on YouTube, micro content on social media. You go down the list, and then you can even flip those back around. You can do a book into a podcast, an article, blog into a podcast. And this is what we do. All we do all day long is, and last time I was here, I think, Matt, you announced that we were doing about 1,200 pieces of content a week that we were distributing. We're at about, thanks to the Family Mastermind, we're at about 3,200 now that we're producing every single week, and it's funneling through. And so this is all we do is like just chopping and repurposing content. And the awesome thing about it is that it's peace of mind, right? Like, Jerry, you know that 2 posts a day are going to go out, and you don't have to worry about it. And it's all going to be quality content leading back to your funnels. And so that's the important thing here is like, use what you have and create other marketing assets out of that. You already have the content out there, whether that's a webinar that you've done, a Facebook Live, even a team meeting or a coaching call. Take that coaching call and obviously pull out the confidential information, but chop that up and then repurpose that for other platforms. All right, so that's it for that. I have 8 minutes. I'm going to get into some content marketing updates. I do this every single time I present, just updating on what's going on in the world of content marketing. Does anybody have any questions about this specifically, anything that I can answer? If not, I'm going to jump into this and we'll wrap up. Everybody good?
Questions about TikTok? Is that what you said?
The book right now. Yeah, I'm going to get into this in a second.
I have a question about the book.
Yeah.
On the back end for distribution, once you get them to your website to sell them, how are you facilitating that?
So they come into the CRM, obviously we get all their information, mailing addresses. Yeah, so we have all their mailing addresses and whatnot, and then that's going to go to a person that we have hired on the team that's kind of an assistant, and they're going to be able to look at that, print the labels off, and then ship it. Yeah, so it's in-house, yeah. And there's probably better options with that, probably a mailing house or something like that. We just haven't looked into that, but that's currently the way it would be. In a simple $8, $9, $10 an hour employee, you can do something like that, so yeah. Everybody good? All right, so I'm going to jump into this. TikTok is still hot. Get it while it lasts. So TikTok's been mentioned a couple times here, and I even, like Corey and I had this conversation earlier today. TikTok is a platform. It requires you to do it. Okay, so this is not a platform where, and there are several TikTok influencers that are, having their team produce content. You can schedule posts out on TikTok. It doesn't work. You have to actively be opening your phone, film the video there, edit it on your phone, and then post it yourself. That's the way TikTok works right now. That's what they want you to do. Several of my friends, if you guys know these guys, Sam Prim, he's at about 1 million followers. He's a client of ours. We do all of his YouTube videos. And then Kong Lone, he's in Collective Genius with me, and he's at like 2.3 million or something like that. And they all say the same thing. You have to actively be doing this. And so typically what we're seeing is that it's about 3 to 4 videos a day that you need to be doing to get that traction. The awesome thing about TikTok is that their algorithm is incredible. Their algorithm is just absolutely stunning. It's what Instagram was 4 years ago. It's what Facebook was 10 years ago. It's absolutely stunning the way TikTok will feed you relevant content, and that's where organic reach comes in. So you could cast a super wide net and get a lot of people reeled in and build a quick audience. The important thing is what I would say is if you look at social media from an organic standpoint, if you look at your funnel, your sales funnel, social media is the top of the funnel. TikTok I would be considered the top of the funnel because the audiences on TikTok are not quality. You can get a wide net, but what people are doing is they're pushing them back to a higher converting platform, YouTube. They're putting back into YouTube, and that's where they're converting them. And so even most of the guys I mentioned, like Sam, he showed me his analytics, and 50% of his audience aren't even in the US, right? So just consider those things. You can cast a wide net and build a quick audience, or build a very big audience very quickly. Just use that as a hook to push them to a higher converting platform. So that's what I would say, but again, it requires you to do it. If that's not in alignment with what you want to do in your marketing, do not do it. That's the conversation we had. If you do not want to, for instance, Ron Phillips walked up to me on Wednesday and he's like, dude, it's so nice just knowing stuff goes out and I don't have to do shit. And he just knows that, like, he's just got to record his podcast, and he knows content's going to go out on a daily basis. So if that's the life you want to live, TikTok's not the answer for you. So I would say that. Clubhouse has stormed the scene. I'm going to let Matt talk about that if he wants to, because he's the master at this, right? But Clubhouse has stormed the scene, right? So Clubhouse is obviously a platform. You guys all know the rage right now. You know what it's about. It's basically to replace talk show radio is what that is. And so the negative about this as well is, and Matt made a comment about it earlier too, is that it requires you to be on there. It requires you to actively be listening, actively be talking, and that's how you get it. So at some point, I think the way, audio is obviously the way of the future. That's why we have Google Assistants. That's why we have Alexas. That's why we have all these automated voice to action technology, and I believe Clubhouse has gotten a leg up on that, and I think that what's going to happen is Clubhouse is going to get smart. They're going to start allowing you to play back the audio kind of like a podcast, and that's where it's going to just completely take off. So be on the lookout for that. LinkedIn is, in my opinion, the most underrated platform right now. Their algorithm's stellar. It's very, very good. You can get very good organic reach, and I'm talking about with your personal profile, not necessarily with your business account. Personal profile is always going to get more interaction, more traction, but LinkedIn, if you're not posting on LinkedIn, get on there. YouTube, last but not least, YouTube is definitely should be a priority for you and your business. If you are an influencer in any way, shape, or form, YouTube needs to be at the hub of what you do, and then everything else is a trickle down from that, and then it pushes back to YouTube. YouTube is a platform where, and I think I mentioned this yesterday, but YouTube's a platform where it's very saturated, and people will make an excuse like, I don't want to go on YouTube because it's way too saturated. There's way too many people on there. Well, what does that mean? That just means there's a bigger audience consuming content on that platform. So put content out, and here's the thing about YouTube, is you have to contextualize, and this is every platform, you have to contextualize the content specifically for YouTube. The edits have to be made done for YouTube. Thumbnails have to be done for YouTube. The metadata, the descriptions, the links, the tags, all of it has to be done for YouTube. And if you don't build it out that way, you're not going to get any traction. So keep that in mind. YouTube does take a lot more effort to get content out as opposed to, chopping up a video, slapping a rapper on it, some music, and then posting that to Instagram. YouTube is definitely that platform, and some of our clients, we're going to be going hard at that very soon. All right, so those are my updates. That's my email if you want to reach out to me. If not, then I finished early, so I feel good about that. I'm good. So anybody got questions? Anybody got questions in the crowd? Hannah, give me the water.
Hey man, how you doing?
Chris, what's up, buddy?
That was good. Enjoyed that. What is the best? You're talking about using other platforms and pushing them to YouTube, right? What's the best way of pushing people to YouTube without damaging the organic reach? So, like, where I'm going with this is, and I'm no guru with social media by any means, but if I put a video on Facebook and I actually write in the thing under there, you visit my YouTube channel or whatever, does that damage? Facebook probably won't like that because you're taking them off Facebook.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about like TikTok, for example, how do you push them to YouTube without damaging organic reach?
A lot of it's the call to action inside the content. So if you guys don't know RJ Pepino, he's the Jack's Filipino dude that was here earlier this week. He's partners with Dave Perichin, and he just reached about 200,000 followers on TikTok. He's going hard at that right now. And we launched their YouTube channel a couple months ago, but what he'll do is inside the TikTok video, doing the point, as the text bubbles pop up, and then the last bubble will be subscribe to YouTube. And then the YouTube channel is linked in his bio, and so they'll go to the bio, click on that, and then that's how they push it. And you're absolutely right, do not link out of Facebook to YouTube. That piece of content won't see the light of day, just because Facebook is a direct competitor to YouTube, right? And so they don't want you to see that stuff. So a lot of it's going to be inside of the content. So one of the clients that we did work with was Jerry Norton, and he's got about 200,000+ subscribers. All the content we were doing was a YouTube play button with his tag to his channel. And then, whatever YouTube video we chop out of that, in the call to action and the description was make sure to check out and then title of the video on my YouTube channel, linked in the bio. And then that's how you facilitate that from like a LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram perspective. So hopefully that helps. There's a lot of other techniques, but that's probably the easiest thing to do.
Josh.
Jay.
So at the beginning of your talk, you mentioned a transcription company that Rev owns. Can you tell us what that company is again?
T-E-M-I.
T-E-M-I.
Yeah.
So it's like TEMI.com?
Yes. And I found, obviously with transcription service, accuracy is going to be the biggest importance there. And I found even at 25 cents a minute, 4-minute turnaround time, it's the most accurate I've seen.
So they're the most accurate and the best pricing?
I think so. Yeah. From what I've seen, I've tried 25+ transcription services, and that seems to be the best one.
Gotcha. And my other question was, in your process flow of converting a podcast to a book, you had writer number 1, writer number 2, writer number 3. Where do you find those writers, or what writers do you use?
Upwork, in my opinion, and obviously, Rob Nichols in the group, and he's got a good amount of writers on Rocket Station platform, so you can find them there. So I always want to plug my friends there.
Sure.
All of our team is out of Upwork, and that's in my opinion, Upwork is the best place to find any kind of team members inside of the media marketing space. And so, like, we have very, very low turnover rate with our team members out of Upwork. They're great. You can see their resumes and all that stuff, all the work that they've done. So from a writing perspective, Upwork is a great place to find the writers.
Does Color Media offer a done for you on that process, or are you just teaching us how to do
Kenny's done
that?
for you, right?
Well, not done for you. Not Jason Drone done for
He
you.
gave me a jacket the other day. I'm going to use it. Yeah, we're working on a product like that. I literally wanted to bring this as a value perspective and not have it as a product right now, just because we don't have a product built out. Like, I want to build the product after this has gotten into the hands of 1,000+ people, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, we've already completed this project, so it's something I would consider doing.
Sure. Because it's like, none of us want to do that, right? We just want you to do it.
You want it all done for you, not partially done for you, right?
We got you.
Awesome. Well, guys, man, Josh, that was awesome. Let's give Josh a big hand, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Great presentation, man.